Hello, everybody, and welcome again to our webinar. We will make sure to respect your time. My name is Kaya Figlarska, and I'm a sales support specialist at Kirkhoff Technologies, MSP, which is a managed service provider. And joining me today is Isabelle Schmidt, our VCIO and AVP projects. She works with our clients to create a vision for information technology that meets the organization's objectives, and then works with our project team to implement that vision. Today, we also have with us Joshua Smith, who's our Chief Operating Officer, who is primarily focused on business side of Kirkhoff Technologies, as well as mission impact. At the end of our presentation, we will have a Q&A session, so feel free to leave any questions in the chat and enjoy the presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kaya. All right, so today we're going to be learning about the recent changes at VMware, discover viable alternatives that your organization has access to, explore some of the cost considerations, etc. So we're going to start with the introduction with the background, and I'm going to hand that over to Joshua to take us through a little bit of the history.
Absolutely, thanks, Isabelle. Yeah, so recently you might have seen a lot of articles about changes to VMware's licensing model since they were purchased by Broadcom. So for those who don't know, Broadcom was purchased in 2022. Broadcom purchased VMware in 2022 for $61 billion in cash and stock. And after the purchase, they announced a plan to change their licensing model, including two, and you can see the quote there from their own press release, complete the transition of all VMware by Broadcom solutions to subscription licenses with the end of sale of perpetual licenses, support and subscription renewals, and hybrid purchases. And so they stated this would allow a dramatic simplification of their product portfolio that allows customers of all sizes to gain more value for their investments in VMware solutions. So that was their stated reason for doing it. Obviously, they have their own view on this, and customers and commentators have raised concerns as well about the impact on their business. In the past few weeks, this article on Ars Technica was a week or so ago, I believe, and it states in that article that since Broadcom announced it would no longer sell perpetual VMware licenses, there've been complaints about rising costs. So in March, there was a VMware user group town hall, and attendees complained of price jumps of up to 600%, and small managed service providers complained of 10 times price rises on renewals or people who had existing free licenses. Another article here from the news organization Reuters stating that Broadcom is now being asked by the EU antitrust regulators about changes to their newly acquired cloud computing company VMware's licensing conditions, as they've received complaints from both EU businesses and also a trade group. So that's what we're seeing in the media. Isabelle, what are our clients seeing?
So the impact on users has been as dramatic as kind of reported. In some cases, even worse than those kind of tenfold or 600% increases. In the worst case that we've seen so far, an organization that had a support renewal agreement come up that they normally paid $100 for, the bill came in at just around $6,000. So that is literally a 6,000% increase. So the impact on users is real. We are seeing it. And today we're going to talk about what can be done about it. What are your options? Well, at the end of the day, this is kind of where we're breaking it down to. What we see is the solutions. You can pay the bill. You can migrate to a platform like Hyper-V. You can look at doing a cloud migration. You can look at co-location migrations, and you can look at open source options. So let's break down what each one of those ones looks like. Paying the bill. It's a kind of a bitter pill to swallow, but at the end of the day, even at $5,000 to $6,000 for subscription for support, that option is there. In the case of the small business that I was referring to earlier, they were able to kind of really look at their infrastructure and understand that they were paying for, or they were using or had in production services that they really didn't need. They had a single hypervisor. They didn't need vMotion. They didn't actually even need the whole vSphere thing. They were able to drastically simplify the products that they were using, and they got that renewal bill down to about $1,000. So it's still that tenfold increase from 100 to 1,000, but it's a much more reasonable position to be in. And so that's what they did. They turned off features, took a smaller license that more suited their organization, and they stayed on the platform. So paying the bill is absolutely something you can do in this situation. It's a good time to take a look at what the services are that you're being offered and whether or not those services meet your organization's needs. A really great option for small business as small business hypervisors is Microsoft Hyper-V. There's a lot of misconceptions in the virtualization world about what Hyper-V is, what it costs, how to license it, and what it's good for. Hyper-V is absolutely an enterprise-grade hypervisor, and what a lot of people don't understand about licensing on Hyper-V is that you've got that license if you're running Windows workloads on their hypervisor. So any single one Windows virtual machine gives you access to the hypervisor. You can install Windows Server, install the Hyper-V role, and if that server does nothing except serve virtual machines, that licensing is included with the virtual workloads. Server Standard allows you to run 2 Windows virtual machines on a Hyper-V hypervisor at no additional cost. The hypervisor is included with your Server Standard licensing. If you've got data center, you can run unlimited virtual machines on that hardware that you have licensed for Hyper-V data center or Windows Server data center. There's also some misconceptions about what kind of hypervisor Hyper-V is and what kind of power it is. A lot of people have the misconception that Hyper-V isn't a type 1 hypervisor, or it's actually a type 2 hypervisor, because look, you can see that you're running Windows as an application or as a desktop. You don't need to run Windows desktop for a hypervisor. In fact, you absolutely shouldn't. But just because you can give that appearance doesn't mean that Hyper-V is an application that is running. When you install the Hyper-V role in a Windows server, the hypervisor actually becomes the base operating system, and the hypervisor boots before the management OS. So in fact, when you're interacting with the desktop on a Hyper-V server, you're actually interacting with a virtual machine that's running on top of the hypervisor. In its standard forms, it supports failover clustering, high availability, shared storage, the whole 9 yards. Hyper-V is absolutely an enterprise-grade hypervisor that is an excellent option for small businesses. Cloud migrations. So often often when there's major changes in an industry, it's an excellent opportunity to just kind of step back and look at your business and decide, is this current path something that I actually need to maintain? For a lot of small businesses, we're actually ripping out infrastructure left, right, and center because they don't actually need it. They're paying for Microsoft 365 already, either in standard or premium. They have all of the services that historically small businesses relied on on-premises servers for. So with Business Premium, for Microsoft 365, you have access to Azure Active Directory, now called Microsoft Entera. You have access to SharePoint. You have access to device and policy management through Intune, the whole 9 yards. That infrastructure that you relied on your on-premises domain controllers, print management, and file servers all have services now inside of Microsoft Azure and Microsoft 365. It's an incredibly powerful platform that you're probably already paying for. So before looking at that renewal bill, before looking at a project to migrate to Hyper-V or another platform, start looking at cloud migration options. What do you actually need on-premises servers for? Probably not a lot for most small businesses. Another great option for organizations is co-location. So it might be time to look at whether or not you need to run that on-premises server inside of your own infrastructure, inside of your own perimeter network. Co-locations give you the opportunity to access enterprise-grade data centers and servers at a least cost. So an organization like our partner at OVH, they go in, stand up a data center, stand up thousands and thousands of servers, and then they lease those servers out to end clients and customers. Using their buying power as a multinational organization, they were able to negotiate pricing on VMware that was really just about 20–30% price increase. So using the power of an international organization, they can pass that on to their customers. So perhaps it's time to look, if you really do need to stay with VMware and you need clustering, you need vMotion, you need the whole 9 yards, it might be time to look at whether or not you need to maintain that in your own data center, or can you do migration to an organization like OVH and take advantage of their buying power. Another option that we have to mention, of course, because our history here at Kirkhoff Technologies is very much related to open source. Our counterparts in the Crafty Penguins team deal with enterprise-grade Linux solutions every day. I'm going to actually let Joshua speak a little bit more to this one because he's more familiar with it than I am.
Thanks, Isabelle. Yeah, absolutely. I will preface this by saying that I am not an expert. If you have detailed technical questions about Proxmox, do reach out to our Crafty Penguins team. I would consider myself an enthusiastic amateur with open source solutions, but I do run Proxmox. It is a full hypervisor solution. It's a product that's been around for a long time. They're on version 8.1 or 2 now, and it's based on the long-term support version of Ubuntu. So it is a full hypervisor system. You can run both containers and full VMs. And those full virtual machines can be Windows workloads. So you can use Proxmox as a hypervisor for your Windows systems. I would suggest that this is really a good solution if you primarily run Linux infrastructure. If you're mostly or entirely Windows, I would recommend going with Hyper-V. But if you do have any questions or want to learn more about the options with Proxmox, it is a free solution with subscription options. Definitely reach out either to ourselves at the information that we'll have at the end of the slide, or you can get in touch with Crafty Penguins directly, sales@craftypenguins.net. Either way, we'll make sure you get to the right people to answer those questions. Back over to you, Isabelle.
Thank you, Joshua. All right. So in summary of our solutions that we've kind of gone over, your options: pay the bill. What you can't do is nothing. You can't go without patching. And this is just really a really hard fact about server infrastructure. For example, just last year, there was a zero-day vulnerability that was being exploited in the wild for VMware. And that's not a slight against VMware as a product. Every operating system hypervisor is capable of having zero-day vulnerabilities. They happen all the time. But with VMware responded very quickly to that, and hypervisors were able to be patched. Without that support, that subscription, you're very vulnerable. And you might not even understand how vulnerable you are going into the future. Last thing you need is for some compromised workstation or endpoint on your perimeter network reaching out and cryptoing your virtual disks, which is what happened last year with VMware. There's no going back from that, and there's nothing that's going to stop it. The virtual machines themselves had their data stores cryptoed. You need your patching. You can't do nothing. Hyper-V is a great option. You probably already have licensing for it. If you're running a single Windows virtual machine, you can run Hyper-V. In my experience, Hyper-V does a better job of running Linux than Linux does of running Windows. So like you said, if you've got that licensing already, you might as well use it. Cloud migrations are a great option. Do you actually even still need a server? The answer very well could be no if you're a small, medium business. Co-locations let enterprise organizations negotiate for you, and then you can lease from them. It's an excellent opportunity to examine your business model and where you get your servers and services from. If Linux containers and Linux virtual machines are all you need, you can stick with Proxmox. It's an excellent enterprise hypervisor, and there's lots of people in our teams of support that can implement and maintain that infrastructure for you. So getting on to next steps. Every organization is going to be so unique when it comes to this on what the solution is for you and what you should be doing to take your business to the next cycle. Don't hesitate to reach out. We can do that consultation with you free of charge for the initial consultation where we can kind of go over your organization, get a high level review of where you're at, and get some preliminary pricing together for you. It's a free, no obligation call with myself to kind of explore what your options are. And don't just take our word for it, our customers love us. I'm not going to read the quote off there, but we have a long history of implementing business solutions or technical solutions to business problems. And generally, we do it with great success, and our customers are very happy with that. So I guess we'll just kind of pause here. Do we have any questions?
No, we actually don't have any. So if you want
don't have any questions,
just go ahead.
Last minute, get them in there. Give them like 20 seconds. Or not. All right. Moving on, what are we talking about next month? So next month, we're going to be talking about Copilot again. We talked about this in the winter earlier this year, and it wasn't available yet. We were just kind of in preview, and so we were able to show you some slides and things of what it could do. Since then, Copilot has gone to general availability for Copilot for Microsoft 365, which is the main product that everybody's excited about. And we've got it. It's available to you. So we're going to be demoing it next month and showing you what AI inside of Microsoft 365 is capable of. As always, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You can give us a call. You can send us an email. You can book a discovery call directly on our website. Reach out and follow us on LinkedIn. And don't hesitate to reach out and connect with me directly. So that wraps it up. Give you back 10 minutes of your time this week. And everybody have a great afternoon and be safe. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.